Hey, besties. How was your week?
It was okay. It was rough. It was a little rough, but overall fine. I mean, I locked myself out of my car on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's never happened to me.
Ever.
Maybe like once when I was in like high school, but it was like, oh, like my dad had another key and he like quickly came over and it was no problem. Mm-hmm. But this week,
You used to lock that car?
barely, rarely. But I think it was like right when I first started driving, so I was like a responsible little girl, you know, like rocking my car and be. No, I shouldn't say that. I don't lock my car usually.
Like during the day?
During the day.
Yeah.
When I'm at home. At night, like Colin likes to make sure everything's locked. Mm-hmm. So he went by. I left my keys in the car because I was outside playing with the kids and like I just had my keys out there because I was like putting stuff in my trunk, you know, whatever. And I like to have my keys out if we're like gonna go on a walk or whatever. So I had them out there, but I had them on my front seat, which sometimes like I get in and out of my car because I keep sunglasses in there and whatever. But I must have just like been in a rush and went inside and left my keys inside the car on like the passenger seat. Well, Colin had gotten home, made sure both of the cars were locked, no problem. So it really wasn't his fault because he just made sure the car was locked. And he didn't know like, oh, I should look in here and make sure her keys aren't on the seat. So I was like frustrated with him at first, but then I was like, okay, well, it wasn't his fault. And it's not like I mean, I should have known better, but at the same time, it's not like there was anyone that was like to blame. It's just one of those situations that's like so annoying. And so like we had to call AAA because like I had so much stuff to do.
So he has a key and you have a key?
Yeah, well, so I think now I'm gonna just get like a spare key, just like the key, because it's like a fob.
Oh, you should just make him keep his set at the house.
Yeah, I think should I just do that?
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Like the spare key to each vehicle inside the house. So if I need it, I can just go grab it off the key thing and go out to the vehicle.
Yeah. But like Colin work is like an hour away.
Yeah.
So if he worked close by, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Or even my parents. Honestly, the biggest thing that bothered me about it is that the car seats are in my car. So it's not like, oh, well, I'll just borrow my mom's car. Nope. And I keep telling my mom, like, you should have, like, one spare car seat in case something happens. Because, like, at that point, I could have, like, she could have come. I could have still taken Sonora to school. Mm-hmm. So it's a life lesson, a learning lesson. Have you done that? Have you locked your keys?
Not, like, traumatically, though.
You don't lock your car, though, right?
I don't.
I don't either. And, like, my mom doesn't lock, ever.
Well, and so
I should say
for the past, I don't know, 6 years, 8 years, something. Like, I've always had a car with keyless entry. So it's never a big deal if I do. I just unlock it. So
does yours have, like, a keypad?
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So Fords usually do. Mm-hmm. But, like, now I drive a Kia. Me, like, giving my entire personal life, don't like my car. This is what I drive. Somebody's gonna come break in. It had nothing. Which is, like, I think that's a little dumb because I used to drive an Escape. And it had the thing, but I didn't know what the code was because it was a used car. Mm. Which I feel like that should be, like, required. But, like, the guy I sold it to didn't even ask either. But I guess you can reset it.
You can reset it, but you have to know the original. But you can go to a dealership and they can pull it. They usually charge you like a diag fee to pull it because they have to hook the computer up to it.
Yeah, that was so frustrating. But the guy from AAA showed up and he like put this like blood pressure cuff looking thing in there and like popped it. Yeah. And then had this like hook and like opened the door. And it was honestly so easy that it was kind of like disturbing. But and I will say, I don't keep anything in my car. Mm. There's car seats in there and trash.
Yep.
Like if you want to steal stuff from my car, like you're not really getting anything, like, unless you want a car seat. But
trash.
It's going to take you 30 minutes to uninstall those things, because I have, like, in my van, I have, like, those, like, fancy car seats. Like, in Colin's car, they're just, like, are, like, cheaper. Still, they're really nice, but they're, like, they're not as expensive. And in the van, I have my first time mom, me, purchasing fancy $300 car seat.
That's crazy. Like, as a first-time mom, I knew that I was quitting working, and so I was, like, such a pincher. My first kid had less new stuff than my second because I was just so worried about spending money. Like, I didn't want to spend money.
Yeah. No, I think I was, like, stressed that I was like, she needs to be in the safest seat that they make and blah, 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 blah. So she's in a Britax, 1 for life. Which I did get a 1 for life because that way, like, well, her infant seat was a Key Fit. which those are like, I think it's like $130 for the car seat, the base, and
Is that how you say that?
It is.
In my head, I always say Chico.
It is. But I was watching so many like car seat review videos. People are like, Kiko, Kiko, Kiko. I'm like, what is a Kiko? It's that. The C-I-C-C-O. Yeah, Chico. That's what I thought it was. I loved that car seat. We sold it. We sold it this past year because I had the travel system, but we never ever used the stroller part because my kids hated being in the stroller when they were infants, like little babies. So I was like, if I ever have any more kids, like I'll just get just a new car seat.
That was the only time my firstborn didn't cry.
Really? It's so funny how kids are
But kids are different.
It's a different. Kids can be different. My kids hated Sonora specifically. She hated the car. She hated the car seat. She hated the stroller. She didn't like to be confined. She did sleep in her crib though. Like I feel like you have like a crib napper or a crib sleeper or a car sleeper. Mm-hmm. Sonora was a crib sleeper, hardcore.
Eli was neither.
Okay, what about your other two though?
Emma slept in her crib. Mm-hmm. She screamed in the car. Yeah. And Sonora
screamed every time we were in the car.
Bo slept in the crib and Bo sleeps in the car.
Because he's the third. Yeah. Angels.
Yep.
That's what they say.
Well, this week we thought that we would get into more about us because we've just been yapping about all kinds of stuff that like is important to us. But maybe you guys want to know some facts about Kiki and Tay Tay.
Yeah, we're 6 deep. We're 6 episodes in. This is our 6th episode?
I think so.
Sounds about right. So I think kind of getting in a little bit of like, who are we? Yeah. But without like boring like, hi. Yeah. This is me. This is my favorite color.
So we came up with a list of questions, some serious, some fun, not so serious, some facts.
Oh, I'm ready.
You're ready?
Yeah. Favorite book? Well, this is really, really hard. So far this year, I've read 28 books. And I've been really... See, this is why you're like, 1 minute per question. Yeah, right. So growing up, I would say that my favorite book was Forever by Judy Blume. Have you ever read it? No. And now, like I read... How many books? I think I read 30 books last year and 28 this year. The first one that sticks out to me is Taylor Jenkins Reid writes really, really good books, and her characters really stick with you. So The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was so beautifully written, and it was so very good. And I would say that last year, that was my favorite book of the year. This year so far, I read Malibu Rising, and nothing really happens in that book, but the characters are so good. Like, you just cling to them because they're, like, she just goes in such detail about them. You feel like you know them. I would say that was like one of my tops this year so far. But I've also been like reading so many memoirs, and I love memoirs. Like, oh, I'm obsessed. So I read like Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar. That one was really good. And I'm currently reading the third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop, and I'm obsessed with it because it's like old Hollywood style. It's so hard to pick when you read like so many books.
I think we should start doing this because I have not been an avid reader for as long as David and I have been together. I really haven't been into books, and I used to read books all the time. So like 8 years that I really haven't been reading anything. Like I've done Bible studies and Bible study type books and stuff, but not like actually reading a book, I don't think. But there is one book that really stuck with me that I read, I think, in my early 20s. And I always forget the author, and it makes me mad because if you Google it, there's several books that are called this. Mm-hmm. And there's one book that actually has a very similar plot. It's called The Rock, I think.
Okay.
And
I don't even know the name of it.
Well, I don't know if there's an extra word in there. And if that's why, like, I always get confused when I'm Googling it. I love it. It's kind of like written like earlier 1900s, and they're building a church and, you know, young love. And it's actually really sad because then the church never gets built. Like it's an abandoned project. Okay. And these people actually die there. Like, but I love it. Like, I feel like you're always looking, I feel like a lot of books are always looking for like the happy ending or at least just like
Yeah.
a resolve. And that book really, to me, didn't have it.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it really stuck with me. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like ended.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't like that. And I can't say that I love it, but I think that's why it stuck with me. Like, I always think
Yeah.
about that book. Like, I'd love to read it again.
Yeah.
But I think you should start giving me your books when you're done.
Oh, I keep them in a collection because I give a lot of people books because I'm like, oh, I really love this. People really love Colleen Hoover. I think her best book is Reminders of Him. That's definitely her best book.
Next question. What TV show universe would you live in?
I would say, just because of like recently, I would say Gilmore Girls because I just finished it and like the little town is so cute. I would also say Heart of Dixie. Built on the same set, so it's the same set. So like realistically, it's very similar.
Yeah.
But like I love that vibe of like the small town, like everyone knows everyone. It's so unrealistic. It's insane to me, especially like you grew up in a very small town, and you still didn't like. Oh, I know every single person in this town, and we're all gonna go to the same coffee shop every morning. And you're like, oh, hi Joe, hi Kirk, hi Kirk. That bet ate oatmeal. Like it's just crazy to me. But anyways, what's yours?
Oh man, I'm torn. And there are like two separate ends of the spectrum. My first one, like if you ask me like first thought, would be like Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Like the
But I also wouldn't want to have to be married off.
old time. I like that. And then my second one is actually kind of dark. Be Law and Order SVU.
Why would you want to live? Would you be like want to be the like the crime fighter? I've never seen Law and Order.
Obviously. Mariska.
Mariska?
Mariska Hargitay. That's her name. Like her real name.
Wow. What's her name in the show?
Well, you asked me too quick.
They always call her by her last name, Vincent. I have only ever seen like episodes as they've been on TV, but I will say like I would like to binge maybe like a show like SVU. Bridgerton was a good answer.
Thank you.
I love Bridgerton. I love the vibe. Okay, going off.
I would love people, like they had people cooking for them, getting them ready.
True. I love when the lady would draw her a bath.
Yes.
She'd be like, draw me a bath. You know what's happening. I love that show. Did you watch Queen Charlotte?
Yes.
I think that
yes.
that one was so
sad.
Good. It was so good. It was sad, but like that one was so good. Like the first one and Queen Charlotte were like the best vibes. Next question. Favorite movie?
Oh. Well,
also hard. This is also hard.
Of all time, people are gonna roll their eyes, but I'm gonna say The Notebook. I know. Shut up.
You ain't watched a lot of movies.
I love The Notebook.
Mine's also very cliche, so I'm not gonna judge you.
Okay.
Dirty Dancing.
Although you already did.
Dirty Dancing is a classic.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
The Notebook's also very, very good. I cry hard every time.
Yes. Real tears.
I think The Notebook is so good. Dirty Dancing is also, like, I think it's more of, like, the vibe you get from the movie, like, the way you feel when you watch it. Like, those are my favorite movies.
I also loved the entire Born Identity series.
See, I watched that when I was a kid because that's when it came out. I was a child. But I don't remember anything about it. What a weird range. The Notebook or Born?
Yep.
Colin has like a list of every movie he's seen.
That's crazy.
And his rating of it. At least in the last like 5 years. Okay.
Do you collect anything?
This is so cringy. I don't even want to answer this. Do you know what it is?
No. I mean, other than books.
I do have a collection of books. So I never really was a big collector of anything because I thought it was wasteful to like just have something like sitting. But for a brief time when I was in like late high school, early college, I really liked Olaf.
Oh, that's right.
And I did have a brief Olaf collection of just cutesy stuff I would find, like, if I was ever out and about, we would go to Disney. And I still have, like, stuffed animal Olafs and stuff, but I've just, like, given them to the kids, and then I got rid of, like, the rest of my stuff. But it's, like, I think that it's, like, a harmless thing to have, like, a little collection of. But other than that, like, things that are similar, no, I wouldn't say I collect anything currently.
When I was a child, my mom heard me say one time that I like dolphins, and so I was your typical 90s girl dolphin collector. And
did you have like the little statue of the two dolphins and they were like,
oh yeah,
shooting out of the water?
I had
with the
that.
little...
I had everything. I had blankets. I had plaques. I had every Lennox collection dolphin figurine that they made.
Yeah. That...
Like I had dresser tops just full of this stuff. Finally, when I moved here, like to this house, not even like married to David, like when we moved here, I'm like, I'm done. I literally took it all to the dump. If my mom knew that, if she ever hears this, she would probably poop a brick. And I don't care.
Dude, I've never even heard you say one thing about a dolphin in our 8 years of friendship.
I've been traumatized.
I do have a small collection of Christmas villages.
Oh yeah, you do collect Christmas villages.
But I think it's like cute to have a collection of stuff because I think it's like something that like brings you a little bit of joy. Now, I would like to have more, but I don't have the room.
Let me tell you about my husband.
He collects everything he's ever had.
He collects everything he's ever had. We have a collection of hats. We have a collection of cigars. We have a collection of belt buckles. We have a collection of literally
anything
he
that
used
he
to
likes.
collect cigar wrappers.
No.
Them
Mm-hmm.
gone. Because he never did anything with them.
What
he had all these plans.
Okay, so like for hats,
you know, like
Colin used to collect.
People used to put like starburst papers on their agendas.
No, honey, I don't know that. We used to cover our agendas with duct tape. Cutesy.
David's ex-girlfriend's grandparents collected salt and pepper shakers.
That's a common one, salt and pepper shakers.
And so they gave him salt and pepper shakers?
No. Trash.
We have like 5 salt and pepper shakers.
You have the blue ones. Those ones are nice. Those are like collectors.
Yeah, I took it off to refill it one time when I was just dating David. I thought he was going to have an aneurysm. I'm like, this dude is nuts.
Don't you have like a mosaic salt and pepper shaker?
Yes, and then a ketchup salt and pepper shaker, our grinder salt and pepper shakers.
See, I don't believe in excess. Yeah. I have 2 salt and pepper shakers, 2 sets. One is like in my kitchen for cooking, and one is on the table.
Yeah.
That's it.
So I feel like I don't currently collect anything, but I feel like it's because
David's doing collecting. Colin wants to start collecting things, and then he gets bored of it and throws it away. Colin has a horrible fear of commitment, except for when it comes to me. I think we both do. We get rid of everything.
I do have a collection of game commission patches from my pappy.
Yeah,
but like I never.
It's because I didn't theirs. Yeah. If it was my aunt's stuff, like anything that was hers, I kept it. Yeah. Like her quilt that was on her bed, like when she passed away, like it's on our bed, like we use it. Which some people are just like, that's weird. But like my name is my favorite person, so like anything that's hers, like that I have, like I'll keep it. But anyways, before we start getting trauma dumping here.
Next question.
So most embarrassing moment.
Oh.
This one's so hard for me, I think, to recall.
I've got one off the top of my head. I was in 2nd grade and we had an assembly, and it was like an awards assembly at the end of the year for, you know, all kinds of stuff, whatever they did in elementary school. And I won an award, and it had to do something with behavior. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember that because in the afternoon after the assembly, this kid kept picking on me during movie time. Mm-hmm. And I turned around and I like slapped his leg. And the teacher said, "Kaitlin, you just got that award today." So that's the only reason I remember it's something to do with behavior. But anyway, they called my name and I got up out of my chair and I start walking down the aisle, and in front of the entire school, both of my shoes came untied and I fell flat on my face, and I literally don't remember a second after I fell. Like it's just black to me. I don't remember anything.
Blacked it out.
I don't remember anything.
It right out.
I remember falling. I don't remember a thing after that.
I think I have a really hard time recalling embarrassing moments.
Because they're blacked out.
Yeah, literally. Like, I blacked them out. I only remember one, like, moment. Maybe it's because I don't get really embarrassed either.
You don't.
I feel like I'm just the type of person that's like, whatever. I mean, I'm trying to think of one. I think that my embarrassment comes from just, like, word vomiting. If no one has noticed, I literally just, like, start talking, then, like, ADHD brain, like my words just start flowing out and I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. And I say stupid stuff. And I don't, like, I never get embarrassed unless somebody says something to me. So, like, the example I was going to say was when we were in the airport going, like, I think we were going home from Mexico.
Okay.
And I was just, like, I literally can get along with anyone, talk to anyone, have conversation with anyone. And you and David, I were like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 people ahead of me in line. And I was just talking to someone, and I just have no self-awareness. And so I was just talking to someone, I was like, ah! Like, so loud. Like, and Kaitlin turns around, she's like, they're gonna not let us on the airplane if you keep screaming like that, or something like that. Like,
we were leaving Mexico.
We were, like, literally in customs.
And it was like
about to go through security or something.
She was acting like a crazy person. She was talking like a crazy person. I was
being very
They
loud.
were gonna pull you aside.
But, like, I've only ever been on a plane, like, twice in my life. And so
you're like, this girl is on drugs. That's what they're gonna think.
But, like, to me, I'm just, like, being myself. I don't ever try to be anything other than just myself. So I think some people are like, dude, got you. Pull it together. But, like, I do remember, I think I just tagged you in something about
that was embarrassing for you?
Because you said something.
Oh, like I called you out.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, like, I didn't drink my water.
Yes, I was gonna say, and you took a freaking full bottle of water.
And I didn't think about it. I didn't think water counted in the liquid thing.
You're just lucky we got out of Mexico.
Dude, and I didn't even think about, like, pouring it out, so I just chugged it.
Yeah.
And I think you were, like, just the secondhand embarrassment for you was...
It was bad. I do remember this very vividly.
But I think it was just very apparent that I'd not really traveled a lot.
Something.
Yeah. But the only time I can think about being embarrassed is when somebody said, like, somebody makes it aware to me that what I'm doing.
Do you not realize?
Yeah, because I have no realization.
Oh, jeez.
But, like, if Colin says something like, why did you say that? I'm like, I don't know. Just, like, being myself. Which is, like, what's more embarrassing?
That's you?
Being yourself. People are like, shut up.
That's embarrassing.
That's embarrassing. I think I embarrass Colin a lot.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
Colin are very quiet. You're kind of similar. And I'm just like, la la la. I feel like when you're around, you're like, oh my God, please stop. Please. People are going to talk to me.
Favorite restaurant?
I really love Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, okay.
What do you mean, okay?
I wasn't thinking like... So I was going to say my favorite restaurant closed last year, and it's that one at the beach.
Oh, yeah.
Harborview.
Yeah.
With the crab cakes.
Yeah.
Best crab cakes I've ever had in my life, and I'll never have them again. Depressing.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say about that.
Either that, or we went to a restaurant over in Italy with Steph, and
well, obviously that's going to be the best.
The name, like, we went to a lot of restaurants over there, but this one in particular had this lemon pasta that I will remember until the day I die.
See, I feel like that's not a favorite. That's just like the best.
That's true.
A favorite's like
if I had to like order food tonight from somewhere locally,
that'd be like, oh, this is my favorite place.
I feel like, I don't know.
I mean, that place at the beach is also like, that's a solid choice because you're like, yeah, every time I'm there, I have to eat there.
Yeah.
I haven't, but the thing, like, I haven't had Roadhouse probably in months because like we don't really go out to eat now, and I really don't like takeout from a lot of places because I feel like it's not a good deal, and if I'm gonna spend all the money, like, I want to be like
in it.
Yeah, like, I paid $3 for a drink tonight at Olive Garden, no refill. I like to have at least 4 drinks minimum. I want 4 Cokes with my meal. That's probably why I couldn't finish it. It's just sitting over there on the floor.
I like to have 1,000 calories of soda with my pasta.
I have always been, I drink my calories. Like, coffee. I love a soda. Not a diet soda. A regular soda. Like, load me up. Large as possible.
Okay, Mormon mom.
I don't care. And I'm not drinking a Dr. Pepper either. I need a caffeine.
Dr. Pepper doesn't have caffeine?
I don't think so. Maybe it does. I thought
that
they weren't supposed to drink caffeine.
Who?
Mormons. The Mormon moms. That's why they were drinking Dr. Pepper. That's why they can't have coffee, right? Because it's like a drug.
I don't know.
I can't even talk about them.
Okay. Next question.
Who would you want to play you in a movie?
Ooh. So.
This is also a very hard question for me.
It would be between two people, and one of them's dead. So the one of them that is alive is the girl who plays in The Notebook. It's Kate.
No, it's
Is it McAdams? Adams?
Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams. Rachel McAdams, or
Regina George.
Or yes, or Brittany Murphy.
I love Brittany Murphy. That's a really good one.
Thank you.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I don't think she would be you.
Oh,
because I don't know. Like, I feel like her personality's a little bit different.
Really? I feel like she's happy, but she's also dark, and I feel like that's kind of how I feel
like Jessica Biel would be a really good Kaitlin.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like she's too happy.
Jessica Biel?
Yeah. Jessica Biel would be a good Kaitlin. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Even Alexis Bledel would be a good Kaitlin.
I don't know who that is.
Rory.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can see that.
I'm not good with actresses and actresses' names, but, like, I've been really loving, like, Florence Pugh. And I love her, like, drama that is her. So I would say Florence Pugh for me. Because she's kind of like...
What does she do?
She was in Midsummer. She was in Don't Worry, Darling. She was in Black Widow.
Okay.
Sister. She's, like, really popular now. Anna de Armas. Who's the girl that plays Lady Bird? Saoirse Ronan. I would say Saoirse Ronan. But those are, like, up and coming. I can't think of, like, big name actresses.
The most important lesson you've learned about yourself through your relationship.
I was thinking about this question, actually, when I was reading through them. I would say that, like, through my most important relationship, like, with Colin, is that I've learned through him, try too hard to make other people happy and try too hard to please others, and, like, I put too much weight into, like, what others perceive and how they perceive me, if I'm, like, a good mom, a good sister, a good daughter, a good friend, and I need to more just worry about, like, how I view myself. But I definitely think I've learned that about myself. But, like, I would say, like, through our friendship, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, like, it's hard because it's, like, through, like, our conversations what I've learned about myself, or just, like, how I feel perceived by you.
Obviously, you don't know how I perceive you because just like 6 weeks ago, you thought you were like a 2-year-old.
Well, I think that it's hard because I feel like when I come to you, I think, like, I'm always, like, asking you for advice or help, and I feel like you would feel like I was, like, I don't know.
No, that completes, like, the oldest daughter in me.
Well, because I'm like, I don't know how to do this stuff, and you're like, yeah, I do. Come on, let me help.
It makes me feel good.
I feel, yeah, that's a people pleaser in you, girl. I don't know. I feel like through you, I would say since starting the podcast, I think in our friendship, I've learned that I'm very confident in myself.
Yeah. Even
Even though I don't always feel that way, I think sometimes to a fault. Like I was just talking about, like, I never get embarrassed because this is just, like, how I am. And I think that, like, in our friendship, I can be, like, the more confident one. And I think that we, like, play on each other's strengths because, like, you have more of, like, the logical, reasonable side, and I'm more of the, like, let's just do this, Kaitlin. Even though you were kind of, like, the one that was, like, kind of pushing forward to the podcast, I'm definitely the one that's, like, yeah, let's go. Because I feel like for us, you would be, like, the brains behind stuff, and I'd be, like, the gas pedal. Like, okay, yeah. Because I think if it was just you would kind of just sat on it for a while and be like, oh, that's something I wish I would do.
Yeah.
But, like, with me and you together, it's like, yeah, let's get it in motion. Like, let's get it going. So, most important lesson you've learned about yourself through your relationships?
I would say something very similar with my relationship with David is realizing I'm a people pleaser. And I think maybe not realizing it, because I think I always knew, because I always want to make people happy. I want to make people like me. I want to do everything I possibly can for people. And I think I've said this to you before, to where I think I do that almost to a fault, that it maybe scares people away because they're like, why is she doing all of this stuff? Like, for instance, I bought Randy
I was just gonna say about
the
Randy.
pickle fork and left it on her porch one day. And then like 2 days later, I'm like, did you get that pickle fork? And she's like, I had no idea who this came from. But like, I knew she loves pickles and I saw it and thought of her.
People
And that's
like,
just how that's just how I am. Like, I saw it and I'm like, oh my gosh, Randy needs this. And, you know, Randy and our friends, we're not close friends. That she probably thinks that's weird. I mean, I don't know. She never said anything, but maybe people think I'm weird when I do stuff like that. But I think I'm thinking about you.
I think people have a hard time accepting genuine kindness.
Yeah.
Nowadays. Like, you and I are very close, so when you do stuff, even like a few years ago, I've been like, oh, not like you would have like ill intention, but almost like you feel guilty when people are nice to you. Like, if you would just like drop a coffee off to me, I'd
like, why is she doing this? Does she expect me to do this for her? Does she?
Not even that, but it's just like, I feel bad, like, almost.
Oh.
Because it's like, I think in life you're always comparing yourself to everybody else. Yeah. And so like if somebody does something nice to you, for you, you're thinking like, wow, I'm a bad friend, or I'm not being as good of a friend. But in like, now that I know you so well, like you just do those things because you genuinely like want to be a nice person.
Yeah.
And some people might not take it that way because like that doesn't happen as often as like, yeah.
It makes me feel good to do those types of things, because I just, like, in my head, I feel like if I put myself in her shoes and I went home and I saw a pickle fork on my porch and I knew that I love pickles, I would have been like, this is so cool. Like, who thought of me enough?
That's what you're hoping.
Their day to get me a pickle fork. Like, in my head, that like that's how I hope people feel. But some people probably are creeped out. They're like, why the heck is this girl getting me a pickle fork? And I just keep bringing up the pickle fork, but
I think that's like maybe like a societal impact on your brain telling you that like people are never going to genuinely be nice to you. People don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like with me and like how my friends that are like closer to my age, it's like you don't really see as much of that. That's kind of like a lost art. Now like when it comes to like family members, like I could see that. Like, you know, like my nan, like I always bring her up, like she would just she would just do stuff like that for me all the time. Like she would be like, oh, I was in the neighborhood and I brought you a sandwich. Like stuff like that. Like you expect that from like your grandparents or something. Like Cheryl would do stuff like that for you.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. But like my mom does that all the time. But like from a friend, like that's just like unexpected behavior.
So anyway, yeah, I would say through David, I've learned that people pleasing, or whatever you want to call it, is definitely a problem. Another thing that I've learned that I feel is like an important lesson through my relationship with David is like, I can think about myself.
Yeah.
I can think about myself and make myself a priority over other people. That's been really hard for me because it's not something I've ever done before. And I've said before, I've self-sacrificial to a fault.
Yeah.
And so when I am doing things just for myself and not considering anybody else in those ideas or plans or thoughts or whatever, I feel like a bad person.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm selfish, but I'm not. And it's a normal thing to want to do things for yourself. And it's hard for me though. But I see now that I need to, and it's okay. And I'm trying, obviously.
Yeah.
I do try.
It's that voice in the back of your head, I think, a lot of the times. Because I feel like consciously we know that we have to take care of ourselves and do stuff for ourselves. But like the voice in your back of your head's like, oh no, like you have so many responsibilities and so many other people that are relying on you.
Yeah.
That like every free second you should be doing something for someone else. Like that's kind of what's going on in my head all the time, is like I need to be doing this and this and this and this, because the list never stops. And it's like there's always something you can be doing for someone. Like, and now with the podcast, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm helping enough and doing enough and like contributing, because it's like our thing. And so I'm like, I don't want to be like a crappy co-host and Caitlin's editing the whole entire podcast and I'm like, good job, Kaitlin. Here for moral support and the app.
Okay.
Have you ever done the love languages?
Yes.
What's your love language?
I forget.
Kaitlin.
I know, that's horrible. We had to do it during marriage counseling. I think it's acts of service and then quality time.
That's mine. Acts of
Okay.
service and then quality time.
Yeah.
Guess what Collins is?
What?
Words of affirmation and physical touch. Those are the bottom of my list.
I think
ours are the exact opposite.
I think that's how David's is too. I think his is definitely physical touch and then something. And yeah.
If I could never be touched again, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I was like when Colin and I first started dating, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need 12 hugs and snuggle and cuddle.
I think it's just kids.
But I love to snuggle with my kids. Like when Sonora, like,
yeah, but then you're touched out. Like then you're done. Like you filled your snuggle cup and you're done.
Yeah. Sonora just got old enough that like at night when I put her to bed, I can't do this like parenting bedtime thing. She goes, "Mommy, a snuggle." I'm like, okay. And it's like I'll get in really close and I'm just say she is something. I love you, Mommy.
Oh, this sounds like Emma.
It's so sweet. How am I supposed to leave? I just want to like, okay, scoot over. Like, it's so sweet. It breaks my heart. A snuggle, Mom. And she told me the other night, she said, I sleep in Mommy and Daddy's bed. And I said, no. But nice try. It was very sweet. What makes our friendship special to you?
I feel like in my friendships before that are no longer, I feel like I was really able to be myself. And when those friendships ended, I felt like I was fooled. Like, actually didn't really like you that much and just put up with you. And it made me feel like I couldn't be myself. And so what I really appreciate about our friendship is that I do feel like I can be myself with you, which is kind of like the first time that I felt that for a while.
I think.
And I feel like even if I say something, you're not going to take offense to it. And we can just be. Like, we can just be. Like, we don't have to.
I think that with our friendship, I always like start thinking about it and then I think about another thing and then another thing like fits. But like I think that with a friendship for me, it's like always been like that type of relationship where you just didn't, it's almost like you didn't need to like always ask and you didn't even like, oh, you don't always have to be like invited and like, oh, I want you to be here. Like, even though sometimes it can be awkward, like we talked about, like you just have to like throw yourself in and immerse yourself. Like I think sometimes it can be awkward because you're like, oh, I don't want to like intrude and I don't want to like interrupt this person's life and I don't want to feel like unwanted and stuff like that. And I feel like in our friendship, like we can just exist in each other's lives and not feel intrusive. Like I think that the most, for me, out of the 8 years, the most important part of our friendship was like when I was really in the thick of it with Sullivan and it would be like 3:00 in the morning and I'm like, Kaitlin, I'm literally losing it. And I'd snap you and I'd be like, he hasn't slept and this is going wrong and I'm holding up right and like all this stuff's going wrong. And you're like, yeah, I'm here right now. Like we're in the same boat. Like my kids are up. Like I'm up right now. And it's like having someone, like, because when you're up in the middle of the night with a baby, there's very few things that feel so isolating because you're like, I'm the only person in the world right now. Like I'm up, no sleep, miserable. And to have another person there and be like, yeah, I hear you. There's nothing I can do to help you, but I'm here and I'm listening. Like that's very special to have that, you know? And I feel like that's the most special thing. It's just like, that's an example, but like that kind of relationship where it's like, whenever you need someone, like they're there and like if somebody were to ask you like who's that person, like to say so confidently, like that's a special thing in a friendship, you know?
Yeah. One thing most people don't know about you. What was your dream job as a kid and what do you do now?
I wish I was wearing my sweatshirt, professional yapper. Because when I was a kid, I told everyone like this was like my 5th grade graduation like thing when they were like, what's your job? What do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be a talk show host. And look at me now. When I was in college, I wanted to work as like a career counselor and help like college students find jobs and find careers and like help make connections and like help students like learn how to network and do like resumes, LinkedIn, basically help them get their feet off the ground, because it's like such an exciting time when you're in college and like you're putting all those pieces together. That's probably still something that's like a goal for me. I would love to work at a university and work at like careers, like as a career coach or like a career advisor, probably. And I briefly did that out of college, but it was with people that were already out of work. So like them looking for a job looked different, because they weren't really looking for like a dream job or like a goal. It was like they were trying to find work because they didn't have a job. And that still is important, but they don't have as much passion in it. They're really more so just like trying to find anything they can. So I think down the road that would be something that I would really, really be passionate about. I loved being in college, and I think like helping college students would be really passionate, like a big passion of mine. So I think maybe someday like I would like to do that eventually. What about you?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Wow.
I just always thought that that would be really fun.
That wouldn't be fun. What about now?
Well, now I am in accounting. I'm an accounting clerk.
That suits you though?
I know, it does suit me.
Is that what you would like choose to be doing? Or if you could like pick a different career path, would you do something different if you had the choice?
If I could do something, I wanted to go to college for Spanish.
Yeah.
And for many reasons, I ended up not doing that. I did social work, which was, you know, it fits me. But when I got into it and realized, like, there's so many rules and laws and this and that, and I'm like, I can't do this. That's not how I like to help people. And so I stopped. But Spanish was always a love of mine. And if I could do something with that, that would be great. But I do love accounting. I'm good at it. That's what I've done my whole career since I was a junior in high school until now. I've always been in accounting and never went to college for it or anything, but just have real life experience and jobs. I'd like to do my own thing, and I don't know what that is.
Do you think you could be like a personal accountant someday?
I don't think I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would enjoy that.
Like a PCA.
Yeah, I don't think I would enjoy that. I enjoy counting. I enjoy doing accounting for companies, but I don't think I would enjoy being a personal accountant.
Do you do your own taxes?
I do.
Do you like doing that?
Yeah.
You could do taxes.
Maybe.
That's a lot of math, though.
Maybe.
Like, if you were, like, when you go get your taxes done, you meet people that do taxes, you're like, that makes sense. But they're like, all of the accountants and like the tax people, the tax guy, that's usually what you go, that's my tax guy.
Yeah.
They're always like the craziest people you meet. Like, they always have such a story.
Yeah.
Because they don't, like, they're either accountants, like PCAs, or they do something completely different the rest of the year, and then when it's tax season, they do taxes. Like, everyone I know is like, yeah, I do taxes in the tax season, but when I'm not doing taxes, I do the craziest thing you've ever heard. Like, it's always crazy.
I fly hot air balloons.
Yeah, literally, it's like a crazy thing. Like, one of the ladies that works at the store, like, she does taxes, and her husband have a tax business. And it makes me wonder, like, how are you doing that and your regular job during tax season? Like, that seems crazy. Yeah. Especially because you only have a short window to do it. I mean, I guess not everybody does taxes at the same time, because, like, businesses have different than, like, personal, but I know nothing about taxes, but I'm sure you do. See, in my mind, like, you know everything about everything.
Thank you. I know a little bit about everything.
Jack of all trade, master of none.
That's right.
But you're a master at accounting.
That's what I put on my TikTok. Jackie of all trades.
Jackie of all trades.
Isn't that cute? I thought it was cute.
You are a jack of all trades. Like, you're definitely the type of person that if I don't know something, like, I'm asking you.
Yeah. If you had to write a book about anything, what would it be about?
If I had to write a book about anything, it'd probably just be about my life. It'd probably be a memoir.
Same.
Because I'm not very creative. I wouldn't be making, like... I could probably write a fiction story, because I think... Not that it would be easy, but I think it would be, like... I'd probably need a little bit of help, but I think I could write, like, a fiction novel about... just whatever. Probably wouldn't be romance. I don't really like romance that much. Maybe, like, a coming-of-age story or, like, something like that. But probably a memoir.
Yeah.
But I think memoirs are very, very hard to write because they have to come off and they have to
Keep the
flow.
reader.
They have to flow just right. But honestly, a lot of people that write memoirs have help.
Yes.
So that's what you would do? You write a memoir?
Yeah, I would.
I think your life would be good.
I think it would be make
your life. Your memoir would be good.
I think
it would be about your life. Have you ever read The Glass Castle?
No.
That's one of my favorite books. That actually makes sense. Let's go back. That's my favorite book.
Rewind.
Yeah. You should read it. It's very, very good. Who would you love to interview on the pod? This is a good one.
Real life or imaginary life?
Both, I guess.
Oh.
I'd probably want to interview, I'm trying to imagine my ideal person. I'd probably want to interview someone that I think has like a lot of interesting things to share and like stories that I'd like to hear, that has like a good personality. Like that's hard to like pin onto one person. Like, dream guest on my podcast. I do like when she said that, like one of my exes, that's like a crazy answer because it's like they obviously have so much to share.
Yeah. Whether you'd want them to share it or not.
I think my dream guest on the podcast would probably be Tyler Childers. Because one, he is my favorite artist, and two, he's very private. So like getting to have him and like even if it's not all like on the podcast, but just like getting to sit down and talk to him, and then like he shares whatever he's comfortable with, but like just kind of getting that time would be like, because I really, really love him. Like he's my favorite artist. I love like to the point where like anything he puts out I will watch, listen to, like all of his like commentary about every music video, song, I've watched it all. So like he would definitely be like my number one podcast guest. He would never do it, but that'd be my dream.
I love Miriam from TikTok. I forget her handle. Miriam Gets Healthy. She just changed it recently. But she's from Florida and I just love her. She's so quirky. She reminds me of me pre-depression. And I think that's why I really am drawn to her. And I feel like she's got a lot of good stories, and I feel like we would really vibe. Also, what's her last name? Her name's Ashley. She used to be a hooker.
We talked about her last week.
We've talked about her before, yeah. She says Trashly.
Yeah.
I would love...
Well, yeah, she has a lot of stories. She has a lot to share. Yeah.
I would love to have her on the pod. Like, I would love to talk to her. And I feel like both of them aren't, like, completely out in cray-cray world. Yeah. Like Brad Pitt, you know? Like, I feel like those are pretty, maybe attainable someday.
Yeah, that might be. At some point. That'd be so cool. Honestly, any guest would be great. But, I mean, like, that's, like, for mine's, like, a way out there, like, dream.
Yeah, if you're listening and you want to come on the pod, you've got something cool to talk about,
let me know. I mean,
email us.
I know, like, my grandfather has, like, a crazy life story.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it, but, like, he was in Vietnam. He's lost 2 wives, a child. He was adopted. Like, he has a crazy life. And his story is, honestly, it's like a testimony. And I've heard him tell it a few times. And it's every time. I am a super big believer in, like, listening to your grandparents' story or, like, your parents and, like, hearing about their life. Because, like, that's, like, what you carry with you. Like, that's their legacy. And honestly, like, I love asking my family members about their life because, like, I want to carry that on to, like, my kids someday. So, more attainable would probably be, like, my grandfather.
Yeah.
So, which I might get him on here someday because he's got a good story.
What's one goal you have for the next year?
I think in the next year, I would like to spend more time focusing on things that make me happy.
Amen.
I think that the pod has been, like, a good step, like, focusing on something for myself. And honestly, like, in a weird way, like, I've only watched 2 episodes of this Mormon Wives show, and they're crazy, like, don't get me wrong, but I think now, obviously, I'm not, like, looking at their life and, like, pining over it, but it does go to show that, like, there's moms out there that can still be involved moms and, like, care for their children.
You don't think they have nannies?
Oh, they definitely do.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, like, I still think, I'm not going to say any of them are, like, uninvolved mothers. Because you just don't know. But, like, they obviously have time and make time for themselves, to have a social life, to do things for themselves.
To have nice hair.
Yeah, and still, like, have a family.
But they also don't work.
Yeah, but I mean, they're working. I couldn't do a TikTok dance if my life depended on it.
I know.
I will try. But I don't know. I feel like that's just like a small example. But like I feel like there's moms out there that can still make time for themselves and do things for themselves. And be an involved parent. And I think maybe when your kids aren't so little, it's easier to do that. And like I look forward to that maybe in the next year, prioritizing stuff for myself without feeling like I'm sacrificing time with my children and my family. I want there to be a balance. I've still spent a good amount of time with my children, have a good bond and relationship with them. I spend enough time in good relationship with my husband, and I have something for myself that I don't feel guilty about. Because I still feel like a little guilty about like doing anything. You know what I mean? Whatever I choose to do for myself. Like even during like the kids' nap time, I feel like I need to spend that entire time like cleaning or organizing something or working on something, and I just want to be able to do something for me and not feel guilty. So that's kind of what I want to do in the next year. Work on that.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like I'm very much in the same boat. I had 3 babies in 3 years, and I feel like I never recovered from that. Like mentally, emotionally, physically, like all of the ease. And now that I'm putting some distance between my last birth and now, I feel like I am starting to find myself again. I mean,
it's your longest you've gone without being pregnant.
It is. It's January will be 2 years.
I mean, technically for me, but I've done it twice.
Yeah. So it feels weird because I never got to this point of finding a new normal. Like I always was just in the thick of it.
In the thick of it, yeah.
And it feels really good. Sometimes you don't realize how depressed you are until you start coming out of it. And so the next year, I just want to continue focusing on myself, focusing on my health, focusing on the things I love. You know, this podcast studio, my art over there, like I want to get back into that and find some happiness, because that quote that is just stuck in my, not quote, but the thing that's been going around lately, stuck in my head on social media about like the number one predictor of your children's success or your children's whatever. Like usually like in the past they'd say like having a father in the home. Like that's what it is. But like now they're saying it's based on the mother's happiness.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something I struggle with. And for a long time, I thought it was like just me. But looking back, like at my family, I feel like there's like a long line of just mental health issues as far as depression and anxiety that has ran like in the women in my family. And so once I realized that, I kind of took like a more serious step into breaking that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm just focusing, I want to focus on that this next year, and I want to be a happy mom for my kids and not anxious and not depressed, and yeah.
Yeah. I think to myself sometimes, like maybe the secret of being happier and being less stressed out is having a bigger age gap between your children. Because I think to myself, like how my 2 children are now, like if it was like that and they were more independent and like we had a school schedule and all of those things and then I had a baby, I feel like maybe I wouldn't feel stressed out because the baby could kind of just flow in a little bit easier. Whereas like my first, when I had my second, it was like she was my entire world and the world revolved around her. And then bringing a second in really just threw everything off. And so I'm thinking maybe it won't be that way with the third, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, but I think like being a happier mom, if I can focus this next year on being a happier person, a happier mom, and being content with what I have instead of always like thinking about what I need to be doing, then maybe having more children would be something that I didn't find to be so intimidating. Do you believe we create our own destiny or that things happen for a reason?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like I believe both. I mean, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe that we have a purpose. So in that aspect, I feel like things do happen in our lives for a reason. But I also feel that I believe we have free will. And so you can choose how your life goes.
I used to think I think I feel the same way as you. I feel pretty split because I think, and maybe this is just also depending on like how I'm feeling in the moment, Because sometimes I feel like, oh, things are happening for a reason, and this was put into my life at this time for this purpose and for this reason. But sometimes I think, and I look back on my life and I think about the choices that led me to where I am now, and I think everything's kind of lined me up for where I am. And I don't know, I think if I had to lean more on one way or the other, it would be like everything happens for a reason kind of thing. Um, and that things are like just destined for us, and like what's meant for us will happen. But also like your choices and your decisions do have an impact on what you know, on what happens in your life.
Most important value you live by.
I would say honesty, like honest communication and honesty. Because every time I'm conflicted, every time I'm going through a hard time, every time I feel like a pressure to do something or to not do something, I always just come back to just telling the truth and being honest. I'm I'm a very honest person. And if I'm feeling a certain way, if I feel unhappy, if I feel conflicted, I feel nervous, scared, like I think my best thing I can do for me is just to be honest. You know, when I'm upset with someone, the best thing you can do is be honest. Now, like sometimes you have to know when it's appropriate to be honest, and but at the end of the day, everything that you tell someone should be some form of honesty. You don't need to be like brutally honest, but like if you were to ask me like, you know, is this thing that I'm doing in my life, do you think it's good? And I truly didn't believe it was, I would never ever look at you and say, yep, it's good, like you should continue doing that, because I care about you. I would never lie to you just because that's what you would want to hear. And I think people that know me know that you're not going to get that from me. So I think that that's what I would say is honesty. I think that that's what I try to do, even with my children. Like I don't try to lie to them, and I don't try to deceive them. I try to be very honest with them the best way that I can, because I think that that's really all you can do. I think that that helps open a line for honest communication.
I will say being kind, kindness.
Yeah.
Like if you just always go at something or someone with kindness, I mean, even if it doesn't go well, you can say that you gave it your best.
I think it's a good philosophy to try to hold. I don't always have kindness. I try to be kind to my children and my friends, but I think in my marriage I have a hard time being kind, because I think your spouse kind of gets the brunt of it. And I think that's why they say marriage is so hard, because like that's like your safe, you know, your safety place, that they don't always get the kindest best version of you. But yeah, I agree. That's something I want to instill in my children, is to be kind. 10-year plan.
10-year plan. Not even 5. You want the 10.
Yeah. 5 is hard because we still have like little kids.
That's true.
And perhaps more at some point in our lives, and who knows what that's going to look like, you know?
Honestly, I don't even know that I can think 10-year plan, because when I think about my job now, I don't know. I've leveled up. I went in as a billing specialist and I'm now the accounting clerk. And I didn't expect that, because when I took the job, I knew that I was just taking it because it was great benefits as far as working from home for the same, about the same amount of money that I was making, but I get to stay home. And I knew in my head, it's not going to be forever, and then I'll go find something else. So as far as my job, I don't know. Like I said, I've leveled up a little bit, but I don't know that that's still. Like I said, I really want to do something for myself, and I just don't know what that is.
Yeah.
As far as income.
Different. Things will look a lot different when your kids are more grown up too.
Yeah. I'd like to have another kid at some point.
Do you have any like goals? Yeah, you said debt free.
Yeah, debt free.
That's definitely my goal.
Debt free is a 5-year plan. Yeah, income wise, doing something for myself. Like that really drives me, and I just don't know what it is yet.
10 years from now, I don't know if we'll have another kid. I think we're about 50-50 right now. Just because of like, you know, everything that went down with like having the first two, and I would love to have more children. It's just about having more babies that's hard. I would also really like to be debt free, you know, student loans and everything else. I don't know. Colin and I always talked about like maybe moving, but I don't know. I've grown up here and I've lived here my whole life, and I really do wish to live somewhere else at some point in my life. That's always been a goal of mine, to like move out of here and like live somewhere else. I don't know if Colin shares that same dream, but it's hard when you have little kids now that they're in the mix, but like they're not in school yet. So it's like, okay, like maybe having that in the 10-year goal, I don't know. And I don't know, in 10 years, I hope to have a career. And like I said about like my dream job, like I would love to work at like a university or even a school, you know, like now that I sub, like I really do have a passion for that. And I really enjoy that. I also would, even though this is like more schooling and stuff, I would love to be a librarian because I like reading and I love books and I love helping others, and but like you have to get a master's to be a librarian.
Really?
Yeah. To be like a librarian of like official. I think to be like a school librarian you don't, but if you want to be like a librarian at like a public library, you have to have a master's degree. Or at a university, you have to have a master's degree. Other than that, it's hard to picture 10 years down the road. 5 maybe, but
I've looked into like remote online notary services, but that just, it hasn't like sparked me. But when I say like for myself, I mean like something like that.
Yeah, I could see you doing that too.
What's been the most surprising thing you've learned from being a mom?
I think I'll go with like the right off the cuff answer, and that would be like just how genuinely easy it is to love your children. Like just the natural maternal, this is just me, I think. I mean, not just me, but like this is my experience. Is just how natural it came to like being maternal and loving my children. Like from the moment I met them and seeing them, just like I love them more than anything. I think that you hear like stories of mothers that like aren't really great or have had rough relationships with their children, or children that feel like their mothers never really truly loved them. And I've never felt for that that for 1 second. Like I just genuinely like love my children and care about them so much. And like I never want them to leave. I never want them to move out. Like I just want them to be there forever. And it makes me so sad to think about them like growing up and leaving someday and moving out, and like I don't know, and that like maternal feeling. Like I don't know. That's why I feel like I could have so many more children, but maybe not more babies, because that's like tests me a little bit. But yeah. Yeah, I think that maybe that's surprising to me because I've never been a lovey-dovey and that type of person. But like when it comes to my children, like very, very like I love them so much.
I feel like we're on opposite ends of the spectrum here. Because I feel like, not the loving part, like obviously I love my kids, but I was going to say the most surprising thing that I've learned since becoming a mom or about being a mom is even though I'm a lovey-dovey person, being a mom is still hard.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was going to make it easy. Like, oh, I just love kids.
I think that's why it makes it so hard, is because you love them so much that you don't ever want to do the wrong thing.
Yeah. It makes it super hard.
Yeah.
I expected it to be a lot easier. Also, when I see my kids, like, I love them so much.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
But when I see them growing, and I see them being teenagers, and I see them becoming adults, and I see them becoming independent and wanting to do things for themselves, and like I'm excited for that. And not that I don't want to wish time away, but like I'm so excited to see the adults that they're going to become.
Well, and that's how you have to view them, like raising them, is that you're not raising children, you're raising adults.
Like it's not going to make me sad when they move out. I guess as long as they're prepared. If they're not prepared, I'll probably just be sick over it, but if I'm, I'm hoping I'm going to be prepared.
They say that like in like the time that you spend knowing your children, it's only like a 10% of it is like when they're children. I don't know, like I think now that I have kids, and I think like my parents over the last, however many years since I moved out, 4 or 5 years since I moved out, thinking that my parents had to like watch me leave the nest and like go live on my own and like make my own life. Like when I think about my children someday moving out and having their own life, like obviously I'm happy for them, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like how I have a hard time sending Sonora to preschool and not knowing what she's doing for 2 hours. Like imagine her leaving my house and living this whole life. And it's like, I don't know, when you're so invested in every second of their life, to think about having that time where they're not around you every day, and it's like that just, I know it's so important, but like I feel like you put so much of your life into being a mom that everything for a while everything else kind of fades away, and that's all you really do. And so to think about it not being that way is so hard, because it's like you have such a shift in everything in your whole life. It's like I was this person and now I'm a mom, and now that your kids are going to be more independent, you have to kind of go back to who you used to be, but she's not the same. You're not that same person anymore. And so it's like you're finding this whole new person, and I think that's scary. That's scary for me, because it's like everything I do now is just about them, except for this podcast. Which is,
I feel like I was so whiplashed when I became a mom, not realizing what it was going to be like, that I'm like, psh, nothing else scares me.
Yeah. No.
Can't get any crazier than that.
But your experience has been different. A moment in your life that drastically changed your view on something.
I mean, I get the one just off the top of my head, without having to think, would be my pappy passing.
I knew that you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That moment completely shifted nearly every view I hold, almost. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say the exact same thing. Because up until my grandmother passed away, I'd never had grief or loss like that. I mean, I had other people die in my life, but when someone that means so much to you dies, your whole life is changed.
Every viewing that I went to, I always would think about my pappy.
Oh yeah.
Like prior to his death, didn't matter what viewing I went to, I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm ever going to do when it's his turn. And one of his childhood best friends had passed a few years before him, and I went to the viewing with him, and I couldn't even walk through the line. I went outside because I didn't want my pap to see me crying, because all I could think about was one day it's going to be him. And then it was him. And now every viewing after that, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't cry. It doesn't affect me. It's fine. It's changed my entire view of my family, because my family has been just, I don't want to say ripped apart, because ripped apart's not quite right, but he was the one that kept everybody in line, kept everything in line, and so now everything's out of line. I used to be so mad at everybody else in my family about it, but it's taken this many years, 6 years now, and I actually went through a time period where I was mad at him, because I realized that he could have done things differently too, on his part. Like, he's part of the problem. And yeah, seeing how him and my grandma raised my mom and how my mom raised us, it's basically like I have a handbook of what not to do. So yeah, whereas before I did always put my pappy on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And it's taken some years to like break that down and realize he wasn't perfect. But yeah, basically changed everything.
I would say that my grandmother passing, but like pretty much all the same as what you said. Like, I never really experienced grief before she died. I mean, I had other people that had passed away, but it was that sadness of like, I'm sad. And my maternal grandfather, my mom's dad, died in the same year. He died in April and then she died in December. And I was very sad, but I just didn't have that same relationship with him. And I was very sad and I cried and it was very upsetting. And it's hard to see your parents pass away. For me, it was hard to see my mom's dad die and how that affected her. But when my mom's mom died and like the impact that she had on my life, I just have never experienced grief like that. And like at the point in my life that she had passed away, everything was kind of changing. Like I just had a baby and we had just moved, and like it's just, I felt like my world stopped for a minute. And I still feel that like effect. Like, and it's just like one of those things, it's like nothing will ever be the same. And she was just my favorite person in the world, Anyways, I can't keep going. But I don't know, also like when Colin and I met and when Colin and I got together, that changed my life too. because he was just unconditional love in my life. And like my parents love me, but like your parents' love is also in a way that they want to mold you. They want you to be, you know, they're raising you. They want you to be a good person and they're trying to teach you values. But when you have love from a partner that they have no reason to love you other than the fact that they do. And Colin came into my life and just showed me unconditional love, and he has ever since day one. Sometimes he might question my choices, but just genuinely loved me for exactly who I was. That's changed me ever since then, because when you have that confidence, if somebody loving you, no matter what you do, there's nothing like that in the world. You know what I mean? It gives you confidence to just do anything, you know?
Our favorite memory together?
Okay, so this one is a little niche, but when, I don't even remember the reason, or all I remember from this day is that Liam was with us, which is your nephew, and we were in the blue car, and we went to Lurgan, I think.
Okay.
And we went and got breakfast, and we went to your sister's house, and it was just like it's just such a small day. But it was like one of the first times that we ever like hung out.
Oh, like you felt like you're included in my life?
Yeah. And we just spent the day, we just did some stuff, we went to breakfast, and you like drove me around and you're like, oh, this was like you drove me past like, you know, where you grew up, and like this was this and this was that. I'm not gonna say that was my absolute favorite memory, but it comes up in my mind of like that day we had gotten flowers and you were like planning all this stuff, and I could just sense that you really missed David and you did not like being by yourself, and he was gone and you were like lonely and you're like, let's do something together. But that was one of the first times that we really hung out and did stuff together.
I guess I'm not gonna say favorite because I don't want you to think that like
it's just like one that sticks out to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
One that sticks out to me
I'm so nervous about what you're gonna say.
is sharing a bed in Mexico.
I was gonna say that. What a time.
Everybody had the double bunk, double.
It wasn't even I mean, I knew that he was gonna put us in the same room.
Yeah.
And that was such a crazy combo. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we had to share a bed and we didn't share a bed with the other two.
Yeah.
Because their sleeping and morning patterns were the same and ours were the same.
They would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning.
They'd be gone. We'd get up in the morning, they'd be gone. Showered, coffee.
They shower in the morning.
Psycho.
Taylor and Kaitlin shower at night before we crawl into our bed.
And you brought Kaitlin got us like all this, like we got like matching little hair towels and matching slippers. And I would like put my hair up because we were so tired when we would get back.
Exhausted.
We would still take a shower and I'd put my hair up in the hair towel and just go to sleep like that. Oh my gosh. How long will I love you? That was Caitlin's alarm. And we would roll over, and mind you, these were like full-sized beds.
Full, yeah.
They were so tiny. And we got sodas every single night when we hung out. And we had like half-drank sodas on the top of our bed. And your freaking legs got swollen, so you had like 20 pillows at your feet. Yeah. And so you're sleeping on your back like a dead man with your feet in the air. And I'm like, Caitlin's taking up so much of the bed.
Caitlin, can you scare me?
Because you were laying like flat on your back. And you had all these pillows at the bottom. But you were so tired by the end of the night, like you didn't even care. You're literally just like, it's a bed. I'm sleeping.
Good night.
No, because then when we get back, we have to go to those meetings at 1 o'clock in the morning, and everyone's in there like, and then the two boys were like, and I saw God and the dog is
and the dog.
Dude,
I'm so glad you were on that trip, Taylor.
You remember that really, really old couple? Like the really old couple?
Yes.
And he's like, there's something not right about that boy. I looked into that dog's eyes and I saw Jesus. And it's literally 11:45. We've been up for like 30 hours straight. We're like, what? I loved when the lady would do the prayer at night.
I didn't even remember she was on the trip, to be honest.
Sweet Daddy Jesus.
She did not.
She did. She literally said she called him Daddy Jesus.
She did not.
She did, on my life. She kept just like saying like, and Dad and Father and Daddy and
She did not say daddy.
I swear on my life, I recalled it. I should pull out all my notes from that trip.
You think you wrote down?
Yes.
So-and-so said Daddy Jesus in her prayer.
Because I couldn't talk to Colin and I had to tell him every single thing that happened on the trip.
This tracks.
Yeah. That was the longest we had ever been apart. 10 days. Some people didn't get to go with their spouse.
You say that, but like I spent any time with my spouse. I wasn't allowed to.
Hot Mess Express. Oh,
I say not allowed to.
Those bus rides, nothing worse than those. Remember when we started driving the wrong way down the middle of the street and they just had to start backing up? That was when we left the airport for Mexico City.
I don't remember.
I think this is my turn. 1 day, 0 responsibilities. What are you doing?
And we're assuming that I'm fully rested.
Sure. If that's what you want to assume.
Because if I'm not fully rested, I'm sleeping.
Start at midnight.
I'm sleeping in.
Okay, so you'll sleep in till.
But I hate that because I feel like I wasted so much time.
Okay, let's say that you slept into like 9:30. That's sleeping in. Yes. Like, let's say if you start at midnight. That's still 9 hours, 9.5 hours. That's a good night.
I slept in. I wake up. My house is already clean.
Immaculate.
Yeah.
Like, it smells clean. Like, you walk out and you're like, yeah, that's Power Pine Cell Baby. You know?
I make an espresso. I go out back and I sit on the hammock. Then I come back inside, open the window. I just stay here. I just do nothing, man.
Veg out.
Yeah, make a ham sandwich for lunch, like just for me, in the quiet. I don't even want to go to Target. Like, I just want to stay here in the quiet.
See, I would probably, like, read a book.
Yeah, see? Quiet.
I'd get, like, in the comfiest spot in my house. Mm-hmm. And find a really good book, open a window.
I might mow the yard.
And then, like, read the book and then maybe, like, drift onto a nap.
Yes.
And then maybe, like, wake back up and, like, pick up my book and then maybe, like, DoorDash something or, like, have somebody just drop me something off.
No, I want a ham sandwich with carrots and celery and the good ranch and grapes or grape salad. That would be perfect. Oh, my.
And then, like, an everything shower in the middle of the day. Or a bath.
A bath.
Oh, yes! This is one I've been waiting for. Not that I have one right off the top of my head.
This is the one that I didn't want to come up because if you asked me to give, okay, it's juiciest hot take. If you asked me to give you a hot take on something, I could probably do it. But if you just asked me to come up with my juiciest hot take,
okay,
I just have not been using my brain for the last 4 years.
I know, that's
so mine. I don't have a strong opinion on a random thing that I come up with off the top of my head at the moment.
See, I feel like hot take is hard to say because it's like, are you saying that this is like a lot of people wouldn't agree with you on? Or are you saying like this is just like controversial?
I think either.
See, but I don't want a hot take that's going to be conflicting of what you would think.
Why? Because who cares? There's nothing you're going to say that's going to shock me, Taylor.
I know I wouldn't shock you.
Okay.
But I don't want you to be like, no, I don't agree. Because then I'll be like...
I think Anna Delvey should be in jail forever, and I cannot believe that she has any kind of following or she's on any kind of show.
Okay, going off of that, why?
You know, I just came up with one like that.
Why is everyone putting Gypsy up there like Gypsy Blanchard is like? Yes. She literally conspired to kill her mother,
and she was like 23 when she did it.
Yeah. And she's not, like, mentally, like, out of it. She's completely cognizant. She knew exactly what she was doing, but she wanted... Like, what her mother did was wrong, but she didn't have to kill her. She could have just ran away.
Well, and did you see, like, she actually does have a syndrome where she needs medical treatment.
Yeah.
Like, it... Anyway, yeah. Gypsy, go back to your Louisiana hole. People stop glorifying her. Anna Delvey... People stop caring about her. She literally has to be a psychopath. You have to be a psychopath.
No one should be buying clothes off of Shein.
Why?
What do you mean? Because
I've never bought anything off Shein.
Because like literally children make it in third world countries.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't be buying off Shein.
Yeah.
Why are all these people on TikTok?
I think it's more like the fast fashion. Same with like the TikTok shop. Like it's literally garbage. It's like dollar store stuff that they're selling.
Even cider.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. I think that people should thrift more clothing.
Yeah, you should.
Because there's already so much out there that, like, if you look, and I know it's hard when you don't have a lot of time, but, like, if you're going to take the time to go out and shop, I think you should try to, like, find things secondhand. If you can.
It's a little bit hard, though, yeah.
If you can.
Like, if you're wearing 2X,
yeah.
Like, you're going to walk into Goodwill and you're going to get grandma shirts. You're not going to get nice
It depends what you're
clothing.
looking for. I mean, I've been trying to thrift a lot more, but it's because I go through things very quickly and I change my mind on, like, what I like more. Like, I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff, but I don't feel as guilty getting rid of it if I thrifted it.
That's true. That's good. Yeah.
And then you're saving money and you're not, like, wasting so much, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think I've bought any maternity clothes new other than, like, maybe pants, because those are, like, harder for me. But other than that, like, all my kids' clothes, almost all of my kids' clothes are secondhand. If I've purchased them.
Yep.
Almost all of them.
I would say 95% of my kids' clothes are secondhand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, from birth until now.
Yeah. Even now, like, I prefer to get them secondhand. Like, even the nice stuff that my kids wear was probably a hand-me-down that my sister bought.
Yeah.
New. But I'm not buying it.
When my kids are outside walking around in their socks or whatever, and someone's like, oh my gosh, they're getting... I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. They're living their life, and I probably paid a penny for those socks. Like, I'm not worried about it.
If I buy anything from them that's new, it was, like, on the clearance rack at Old Navy for $2.
Or for, like, pictures. Yeah.
I still...
Really?
Like, when I was pregnant with Sonora, I did buy some new stuff, but I never ever paid, like, full price for anything. I don't even buy full price for myself. Why would I do it for them? They're gonna wear it for 5 minutes.
Well, I think that's all we have time for.
Yeah, I really don't think we can squeeze it anymore. I yawned one too many good ones.
Well, I guess that means that we gotta call it.
When Tay-Tay's about to fall asleep, yeah. Nope, we'll see you next week. Bye, besties.
Bye, bestie.